Chapter 3286. No breakthrough? Everyone was not in a hurry and continued to wait outside the Bloodwave Hall. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days passed. Just as everyone was getting impatient from waiting, the doors of the Bloodwave Hall finally opened once again. Following that, a figure slowly walked out of the hall. Hez out. Hez finally out. The people outside Bloodwave Temple also looked over. But when they saw this, many people had strange expressions. Because they had noticed the divine power aura that Jian Wushuang emitted at the first moment. If this divine power aura was much stronger than Jian Wushuang's before, it would be much stronger. However, no matter how strong it was only at the limit of true saint. It was still far from being a principal's master. The aura of the principal's master emitted by the Light King and the others was extremely dazzling. Compared to them, Jian Wushuang's divine power aura was on a completely different level. He didn't make a breakthrough. It's still the aura of the true saint realm. Heavenly Sword Marquis stayed in the Bloodwave Temple for so long, but he didn't make a breakthrough. He got the Bloodwave token and entered the Bloodwave Temple, but he didn't make a breakthrough to become a principal's master. The crowd was immediately filled with shocked and surprised voices. Even the people who had entered the Bloodwave Temple with Jian Wushuang and become principal's masters were surprised. He hasn't broken through? Light King frowned slightly, as if he had not thought of this. The Bloodwave Temple has such an incredible opportunity. Almost anyone who doesn't look like a saint should be able to break through. Heavenly Sword Marquis is so talented, but he hasn't broken through. How is this possible? Master Ku was stunned. Huh? Han Xin's eyebrows twitched. No one knew what she was thinking. As expected, Heavenly Sword Marquis, life level is much higher than mine, and there are more obstacles and difficulties in making a breakthrough. I finally made a breakthrough to become a principal's master, but it seems that he is still a little lacking. Only Saint Devil's Son was prepared for Jian Wushuang's result. He was not too surprised. The people who were on good terms with Jian Wushuang, including Emperor Ming, Di Hao, Tai Ta, and the Temporal Temple, frowned. Emperor Ming and Emperor Hao immediately rushed toward Jian Wushuang. Brother Heavenly Marquis, what happened? Emperor Ming asked. What do you mean, what happened? Jian Wushuang was confused. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. What do you think? Of course it's about breaking through. How come you haven't broken through to become a principal's master? Emperor Ming said. He was indeed puzzled. After all, he had entered Bloodwave Temple personally and knew what the opportunity in Bloodwave Temple was. It was simply an incredible opportunity. With this opportunity, as long as he was not extremely stupid, he would definitely be able to break through to become a principal's master. As for Jian Wushuang, he was an incredible genius. It should be easier for such a genius to break through, but he could not accept the result now. Seeing the expression on Emperor Ming's face, Jian Wushuang smiled and said, "There's nothing to say. If I can't break through, I can't." Jian Wushuang looked very relaxed, as if he did not care about his failure to break through. In fact, he did not care at all, because his gains in Bloodwave Temple were already very great. Well, you're open-minded. Underworld Emperor rolled his eyes and did not know what to say. Jian Wushuang smiled and walked forward. Along the way, he noticed many strange gazes around him. These gazes were indeed strange and good, with some mockery, doubt, and even some gloating. The first to bear the brunt was naturally Silver Wolf. "Haha, Heavenly Sword Marquis, I thought you had great abilities, but I didn't expect you to be so useless. In front of such an incredible opportunity in the Bloodwave Temple, as long as you are not stupid enough, you should be able to break through to become a principal's master with ease, but you actually didn't break through? Haha, haha, I'm dying of laughter, I'm dying of laughter. Heavenly Marquis Sword, so you're such trash." Silver Wolf laughed without restraint. That laughter reverberated throughout the entire void, allowing everyone present to hear it clearly. When the surrounding experts heard these words, although they did not say anything on the surface, from the strange smiles on the corners of many people's mouths, they clearly agreed with Silver Wolf's words. Previously, Heavenly Sword Marquis said that he is a super genius that is rarely seen in the divine beginning realm for billions of years. But now, it seems that he is only SOSO. Indeed, Bloodwave Hall is such a good opportunity. If any one of us could enter, we would have broken through, but he couldn't. He wasted such a good opportunity for nothing. TMPH, what peerless genius. In my opinion, he is more or less a trash. Trash, stupid pig. I don't even know what has been doing in Bloodwave Temple for so long. This Heavenly Sword Marquis is really embarrassing. Many experts were whispering to each other. Although they lowered their voices so that Jen Wushuang could not hear them, Jen Wushuang could guess what they were talking about just by looking at their expressions. Jen Wushuang was not annoyed. He did not care about what they thought of him. He just wanted to know how much progress he had made in Bloodwave Temple. On the other hand, Emperor Ming, who was standing beside Jen Wushuang, could not hold it in any longer. A bunch of bastards. Do you want to die? Emperor Ming's cold voice with killing intent suddenly echoed. For a moment, the entire world fell silent. The experts who were still whispering among themselves also smiled bitterly and did not dare to say anything more. After all, although Jen Wushuang had not broken through to become a principal's master, his strength was still enough to make them revere him, not to mention that Emperor Ming and Di Hao were obviously on his side. However, the immortal saints present did not dare to say anything because they were afraid. However, Silver Wolf, who had already broken through to become a principal's master, did not have any fear. What? Underworld Emperor, this Heavenly Sword Marquis is a trash. It's a fact that he wasted such a good opportunity. Why doesn't he let others say it? Silver Wolf sneered. Before he broke through, Underworld Emperor was stronger than him. He was still a little afraid of Underworld Emperor. However, both of them had already broken through and become the principal's master. Moreover, both of them had grasped a set of principles and the power of a will. Under such circumstances, the two of them were very close. Naturally, the Silver Wolf did not need to be afraid of the Underworld Emperor. Because no matter what, the Underworld Emperor could not do anything to him. Among the people present, only the Light King, who had fused two principles and a special life form, the Saint Devil's Son, had two wills, had the right to make him fear. Chapter 3287, Jen Wushuang and Silver Wolf. Silver Wolf, before you entered the Bloodwave Temple, you didn't even dare to show your face in front of the Heavenly Sword Marquis for fear of being targeted and killed by him. You're not as good as the 9 temples Saintus. Now that you've come out of the Bloodwave Temple and saw that the Heavenly Sword Marquis hasn't broken through to become Principal's Masters, you've become arrogant? What a joke. Underworld Emperor looked at Silver Wolf, his face was full of mockery. Upon hearing Underworld Emperor's words, Silver Wolf's face suddenly changed. Before entering the Bloodwave Temple, not only him, but all the experts of the 3 saint realms in the Bloodwave realm were extremely afraid of Jen Wushuang. No one dared to show their faces in front of Jen Wushuang. Even outside the Bloodwave Temple, Silver Wolf had waited until Jen Wushuang had entered the Bloodwave Temple to fight for the last Bloodwave token. Everyone knew this, but now, Emperor Ming had said it in front of everyone, which made Silver Wolf feel embarrassed. Humph, what a joke. Why should I be afraid of him? Silver Wolf snorted. You know very well whether I'm afraid or not. Emperor Ming sneered. He wanted to say something, but Jen Wushuang, who had been standing silently by the side, stopped him with a wave of his hand. Silver Wolf, Jen Wushuang opened his mouth and looked over. Congratulations on breaking through to become a principal's master. Hey! Silver Wolf was shocked. He did not expect Jen Wushuang to congratulate him first. They did not have any friendship, only a great enmity. Such a congratulations would not be good. Sure enough, Jen Wushuang continued, it said that the Supreme Principal's Master is far more powerful than the Immortal Saint. Now that you've broken through, your strength must be much stronger than before, right? Nonsense. The Principal's Master and the Immortal Saint are 2 completely different levels. Of course, the gap is huge, Silver Wolf said before asking, Heavenly Sword Marquis, what are you trying to say? Nothing. I'm just curious how much stronger you are now that you've become a Principal's Master. That's why I want to fight you head-on, Jen Wushuang said indifferently. His words were extremely calm. However, as soon as he said that, the entire void instantly quieted down. Many people looked at Jian Wushuang with astonishment. Although Jian Wushuang was the focus of everyone's attention previously, they only looked at him with surprise and disdain because he had not broken through. But now, they looked at him as if they were looking at a fool. Yes, they were looking at a fool. After all, although the immortal saint was only one step away from the principal's master, the difference was like the difference between heaven and earth. After all, the power of the principal's master's will was too strong. It was almost impossible for the immortal saint to make up for it. In the history of the divine beginning realm, there had been countless talented experts, many of whom were enough to shock the world. Similarly, there were also many who were able to cross ranks to challenge the principal's master. However, they were only at the level of a true saint. It was impossible for a true saint to challenge a principal's master. At least in the history of the divine beginning realm, there had never been an immortal saint who could defeat a principal's master. It was impossible for him to even fight a principal's master head-on. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Jian Wushuang knew this, but he still took the initiative to challenge Silver Wolf. Was he not a fool? Heavenly Sword Marquis, what did you just say? Silver Wolf looked at Jian Wushuang with a strange smile. Brother Heavenly Marquis. Emperor Ming and Di Hao also looked over. Among them, Emperor Ming said directly, Brother Heavenly Marquis, you don't have to pay attention to him. At most, you can let him be proud for a while. If he dares to be presumptuous again, I, Brother Gang Hao, will help you teach him a good lesson. Di Hao also nodded slightly. Apparently, both of them thought that Jian Wushuang was a little impulsive to take the initiative to challenge the principal's master. After all, they were both principal's masters now and knew how powerful the principal's master was. However, after hearing the Underworld Emperor's words, Jian Wushuang just shook his head and smiled. It doesn't matter. Since I dare to take the initiative to challenge him, I naturally have a certain degree of confidence. You two just watch in peace. Underworld Emperor and Di Hao looked at each other. Although they were still frowning, since Jian Wushuang had said so, they would not stop him. Moreover, they knew how strong Jian Wushuang's life-saving ability was. After breaking through to Principal's master, Silver Wolf might be able to crush Jian Wushuang, but it was almost impossible to kill him. Therefore, they could rest assured that Jian Wushuang would make a move. At this moment, the smile on Silver Wolf's face grew wider, and a trace of killing intent emerged from the bottom of his heart. Heavenly Sword Marquis and the three Saint Realms have been at each other's throats for a long time. The highest level officials of the three Saint Realms all want to kill him, but they have been unable to kill him in the Bloodwave Realm, but that was before, the battle strength in the Bloodwave Realm was only at the Saint Realm, so any battle strength above the Principal's Master level would be limited. But now, we Principal's Masters who have made a breakthrough in the Bloodwave Realm are not limited in strength at all. With my current strength, I have a chance to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis with all my strength. Of course, the premise is that he doesn't use space-time teleportation and Emperor Ming and Di Hao don't help him. Silver Wolf narrowed his eyes. He believed that he now had the battle strength to kill Jian Wushuang, but he did not want to kill Jian Wushuang in the beginning because Jian Wushuang's life-saving ability was too strong. In addition, Emperor Geng and Emperor Hao were obviously on Jian Wushuang's side. However, it was different now because Jian Wushuang had taken the initiative to challenge him, which gave him a chance to fight Jian Wushuang face-to-face. Moreover, Jian Wushuang would never choose to use space-time teleportation to escape in the beginning. This gave him a perfect opportunity to kill Jian Wushuang. Although Jian Wushuang's divine power was vast and his chances of success were slim, what if he succeeded? Although I'm one of the top geniuses in the Life and Death Saint realm and have reached the Principal's Master realm, I still can't enter the highest level of the Life and Death Saint realm. However, the highest level of the Life and Death Saint realm values Heavenly Sword Marquis so much that even the Saint Master has been paying attention to him. If I can kill Heavenly Sword Marquis again, it will definitely bring me closer to the highest level, and I might even be favored by the Saint Master. Silver Wolf clenched his hands. At the thought of this, his heart became incomparably excited. Chapter 3288, The The Master of Principles, Silver Wolf. Kill him. You must seize this opportunity to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis. Silver Wolf looked at Jen Wushuang with a fierce look, like a beast ready to come out of its cage. Heavenly Sword Marquis, you asked for it. If you lose or die in my hands, don't blame me, the Principle's Master, for bullying an immortal saint like you. Of course not. So many people here have witnessed me taking the initiative to challenge you. Even if I die in your hands, it's my own fault. It has nothing to do with you, Jen Wushuang said with a smile. Well, then let me see where you get the courage to take the initiative to challenge me. Silver Wolf's voice was cold and echoed in the surrounding void. At the same time, the tyrannical aura of the Principle's Master realm on his body also spread out in all directions, also unscrupulously spread out in all directions. Previously, Silver Wolf's aura had been somewhat restrained, but now that it had completely erupted, the strength of this aura caused the expressions of the surrounding experts to change. Too strong, Principle's Master. Just this aura alone is enough to make an ordinary immortal saint lose the courage to resist. Looks like this Heavenly Sword Marquis is going to be unlucky. Humph, even if he's unlucky, it's his own fault. How dare the immortal saint challenge the Principle's Master? Many experts were whispering among themselves. Of course, they did not think highly of Jen Wushuang. After all, the gap between their levels was obvious. In their opinion, this battle would at least be the result of Jen Wushuang being trampled on. On the contrary, the experts who had already broken through to the Principle's Master now had a change of character. They were also curious as to why Jen Wushuang dared to challenge Principle's Masters as a Saint Realm expert. The surrounding people had already retreated and made way for a huge battlefield. Jen Wushuang and Silver Wolf stood at the center of the battlefield. Countless gazes were fixed on them. They were all looking forward to the battle between the two of them. Heavenly Sword Marquis, don't think that you can disregard the Principle's Master just because you have some talent. Today, I will let you know what a real Principle's Master is and how big the gap between the Principle's Master and the immortal saint is. Silver Wolf sneered. The aura emitted by his voice became stronger and stronger. Cut the crap, let's fight, Jen Wushuang said indifferently. Kill. Silver Wolf did not hesitate anymore. He suddenly rushed forward like a shooting star. A ghostly silver light flashed and suddenly appeared in front of Jen Wushuang like a silver moon. Then, a cold silver spear pierced through the void and stabbed toward Jen Wushuang's throat. This spear was incredibly fast, but its power was also terrifying. Just the sound of the spear piercing through the void made the hearts of countless experts palpitate. This spear had completely surpassed the level of the immortal saint. Logically speaking, the immortal saint should not be able to block it. However, in the face of this spear, Jen Wushuang still had a smile on his face. The Blood Mountain sword behind him had already been unsheathed, and he casually waved his sword. The sword light flashed and struck the spear tip, and then the power burst out. Clang! With a crisp sound, the silver light danced and the sword essence spread out. But then, a silver ghost-like figure directly retreated backward. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. He stood firm and revealed the shocked face of Silver Wolf. How could it be? Silver Wolf stared at Jen Wushuang in surprise. You are just an immortal saint, but how could you be so powerful? I used 100% of my strength, but in the face of a head-on collision, I was actually at a disadvantage. Silver Wolf indeed felt incredulous. And when the surrounding spectators saw Silver Wolf's figure fly backward, they immediately cried out in surprise. Silver Wolf was actually repelled. How is this possible? Silver Wolf is a true Principle's Master. Logically speaking, his strength should be able to completely crush the immortal saint, but in a head-on collision with Heavenly Sword Marquis, he was actually at a disadvantage. Did Silver Wolf just break through and not fully control his strength? Or did he not use his full strength just now? No, Silver Wolf should have used his full strength and used the power of the Principle's Master. But if nothing goes wrong, Heavenly Sword Marquis might be stronger in terms of strength. Don't forget, he is a special life form. The experts on the field were discussing. Silver Wolf stared at Jen Wushuang with cold eyes. Heavenly Sword Marquis, it seems that I was too careless. Indeed, you're a special life form, and I'm afraid you're very strong among special life forms. Before, you just broke through to rank 7 true saint and your strength was already comparable to that of an invincible saint. Now, after a month in the Bloodwave Palace, your divine power has greatly increased and you've reached the limit of an immortal saint. It's normal for you to be comparable to the Principal's Master in terms of strength. Hearing Silver Wolf's words, the surrounding people also came to a sudden realization. You're not stupid. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly, which was a tacit agreement. Indeed, as a special life form, his strength was much stronger than that of other cultivators of the same level. Even for a special life form of the initial level like the Saint Devil's Son, as long as he reached the limit of the immortal saint, his strength should be close to that of an ordinary Principal's Master. Jian Wushuang, on the other hand, was a perfect life form standing at the top, much stronger than an initial stage special life form. Once he reached the top of the immortal saint, he would be comparable to an ordinary Principal's Master in terms of the most basic power, or perhaps even stronger. Because of this, he had just defeated the Silver Wolf with a casual sword strike. Of course, this was also because the Silver Wolf had yet to use the power of his will. The Principal's Master. The reason why he was far stronger than the immortal saint was not because of his basic strength, but because of the power of his will. Silver Wolf, I'm going to use the power of my will. The gazes of the surrounding experts were focused on the Silver Wolf, and at this moment, a special power surged out from the Silver Wolf's body. This power was the power of will. Then, Silver Wolf attacked again. Whoosh! Silver light flashed, and a cold spear flew through the void, whistling toward Jian Wushuang's head. It was also a cold and sharp spear, but with the addition of the power of will, the power of the spear suddenly increased by dozens of times. Dozens of times? What kind of concept was that? This is the power of the complete willpower of the Principal's Master. It's too powerful, too terrifying. It's much, much stronger than the willpower we barely used after swallowing divine power. This is the true Principal's Master. The countless experts around also sighed. Chapter 3289. He was not a Principal's Master, but he was better than a Principal's Master. After using the power of his will, Silver Wolf finally unleashed the true strength of a Principal's Master. The spear, which was whistling and thrusting forward, spun with a monstrous air wave and formed a huge dark vortex, as if it was going to swallow Jian Wushuang completely. When the dark vortex appeared in front of Jian Wushuang also made a move. He also casually slashed out with his sword. At the same time, Jian Wushuang also used the Principal's power that he had mastered. Whoosh! The sword light was like ink, and it immediately struck the huge dark vortex. This time, there was no sound, but the dark vortex had already collapsed. From the large amount of black airflow, a figure retreated in a sorry state. This person was Silver Wolf again. It would be understandable if the first time Silver Wolf was pushed back by Jian Wushuang because he did not use the power of his will and the divine power of his Principal's Master, but now, Silver Wolf had used the power of his will to fully display his battle strength. On such a basis, he was still at a disadvantage in a head-on fight with Jian Wushuang. This was unacceptable to everyone present. How is this possible? This is impossible. The Principal's Master can't defeat an immortal saint with his power. Many people looked at Jian Wushuang in disbelief. Silver Wolf was completely dumbfounded. He stared at Jian Wushuang with his eyes wide open. You have broken through to become the Principal's Master? A Principal's Master? No, I'm not. Jian Wushuang shook his head. Then how could you be so strong? You've clearly mastered a complete set of the power of will, Silver Wolf said in a low voice. What a joke. Can only a Principal's Master master the power of will? Or can only a Principal's Master master a complete set of principles? Jian Wushuang said with a chuckle. Silver Wolf was stunned, but he immediately understood. You have perfectly mastered a principle, and your divine power has clearly reached the limit of the immortal saint. You have fulfilled all the requirements for breaking through to become a Principal's Master. Is it because you're a special life form that you can't break through? The surrounding people immediately understood when they heard this. That was right. As long as one completely comprehended a principle, one could obtain a portion of the power of will. However, this did not mean that only the principle's master could grasp the power of will. There were some extremely special immortal saints. Although they grasped the principles, due to various reasons, they were unable to break through and become the principle's master. However, they could already use this power of will to kill their enemies. However, such people were very rare. After all, ordinary cultivators could easily break through to become principles masters as long as they had comprehended the principles and accumulated their divine power to the limit. If they could break through, no one would choose to stay at the immortal saint realm. Because of this, the experts present had almost forgotten that there was such a special immortal saint. It was not until now that Zhen Wushuang revealed his strength that everyone came to a realization. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. It turns out that Heavenly Sword Marquis has mastered the principles and obtained a portion of the power of will. No wonder. I thought it was strange. Even an ordinary invincible saint could break through to become a principle's master after entering the Bloodwave Temple. It should be impossible for an incredible genius like him to fail. It turns out that he has fulfilled all the conditions to break through to a principle's master. The reason why he can't break through is because of the special life form. Although a special life form has a huge innate advantage, its limitations are equally shocking. Heavenly Sword Marquis must have a very high life level, so it must be more difficult for him to break through. It's reasonable that he can't break through. We all understand now. I told you, how could Heavenly Sword Marquis be a waste? Voices of discussion rose and fell in the surroundings. Those who had started to belittle Zhen Wushuang when he failed to break through to become a principle's master had all changed their words. Obviously, there was a reason why Zhen Wushuang could not break through in Bloodwave Temple. It was not because he was not capable, but because of some special relationship. As a special life form, Heavenly Sword Marquis is no weaker than Silver Wolf, the principle's master, in terms of basic strength. He is even stronger. Now he has also mastered the principles and has the power of will. In this way, Silver Wolf, the principle's master, will have no advantage in front of him. Instead, he will be at a disadvantage. This is interesting. I used to think that the Heavenly Sword Marquis was asking for trouble by challenging the Silver Wolf with the Immortal Saint Realm, but now it seems like that's not the case. Yes, the difference between the Principle's Masters and the Immortal Saint Realm is that the difference in strength is huge, and then the power of will is added. Now that the two advantages have been equalized, the next competition is about their own methods, and in terms of methods, the Heavenly Sword Marquis is obviously stronger. Yes. Although Heavenly Sword Marquis is not a rule master, he is better than a Principle's Master. Many experts began to guess the outcome of the battle, and most of them were biased toward Zhen Wushuang. It was very normal because the Principle's Master was competing with Zhen Wushuang in terms of techniques without any advantages. Zhen Wushuang's techniques were very famous. If Silver Wolf could compete with him, he would not have been afraid to show his face in front of Zhen Wushuang. Damn it, I don't believe it. Silver Wolf's eyes were red like a furious beast. Divine power surged out of his body, and the power of his will swept out crazily. Boom, 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 boom. A series of monstrous explosions resounded in the void. Silver Wolf and Zhen Wushuang had already engaged in a fierce battle. Both of them displayed astonishing divine power and collided with each other in the void. It was obvious that Zhen Wushuang had the upper hand. Silver Wolf was also trying to figure out a way. He had also used many of his secret skills. Silver Wolf came from the Life and Death Saint Realm, one of the 3 Saint Realms, and his secret skills were also very powerful. However, Zhen Wushuang's secret skills came from the ancient 7-star mysterious sect, so they could only be of a higher level than Silver Wolf's. Therefore, after dozens of exchanges, Silver Wolf was faintly suppressed by Zhen Wushuang. Suddenly, Zhen Wushuang stopped moving his hands and his body stopped in the void. Silver Wolf, you have already broken through to become a Principle's Master. Is that all you have? Jian Wushuang's eyes were cold as he looked down at Silver Wolf with a hint of arrogance. Chapter 3290. Did he just lose? How could this be? Silver Wolf was stunned. He did not react at all after hearing Jian Wushuang's words. Jian Wushuang continued, I was looking forward to fighting with you, but you have disappointed me. If your strength is only at this level, then you will lose. As soon as Jian Wushuang finished his words, he flew out. He was not fast, so he appeared in front of the Silver Wolf and raised the Blood Mountain sword in his hand. With the long sword raised, Jian Wushuang's strength burst out to the extreme, and the power of his will was fully unleashed. At the same time, the life divine power in Jian Wushuang's body began to circulate. The innate advantage in his body was greatly stimulated at this moment. Once the life divine power was activated, it was equivalent to the power of a will. Together with the power of Jian Wushuang's own will, it was equivalent to releasing two wills at the same time. Roar! A surge of heaven-shaking brutal qi suddenly swept over, and a faint beast roar was heard in the world. It was the peerless sword technique, Shi Xiong. Whoosh! The sword light slashed down ferociously, and its shocking power caused all the experts present to change their expressions. Silver Wolf suddenly raised his head, and a trace of shock appeared in his eyes. Then, he raised his spear with all his strength and hurriedly blocked it. But then, clang! With a loud sound, the spear in Silver Wolf's hand was slightly changed by the terrifying power, while Jian Wushuang's sword light continued to strike Silver Wolf's divine body. Puff! Silver Wolf threw his head back and spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura was greatly weakened, and his body was sent flying in a sorry state. It took him a long time to regain his balance. After he regained his balance, his face was pale. The surrounding crowd was silent. Everyone became quiet. The whole world was silent. In this silence, there were countless shocked gazes. They were all focused on Jian Wushuang. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. He lost. A trembling voice suddenly sounded in the crowd. The next moment, the whole crowd exploded. He lost. Silver Wolf lost. A principal's master actually lost to the immortal saint. Oh my God, am I dreaming? How is this possible? I also feel that this isn't real. All the experts present could not accept this scene, even though it was the truth. One had to know that since ancient times, principals' masters had always been high and mighty. The immortal saint could not compare to them at all. In the divine beginning realm, for a long time, no one had ever heard of anyone who could challenge a principal's master at the level of an immortal saint. They could not even fight head-on, let alone defeat him. Because of this, many experts in the divine beginning realm had come to a conclusion that the immortal saint could not challenge the principal's master. However, this scene was beyond their understanding. Jian Wushuang and Silver Wolf, one was obviously the immortal saint, and the other was the real principal's master. They fought in front of countless people, but Silver Wolf was defeated. Moreover, he was crushed by Jian Wushuang. Heavenly Sword Marquis, Light King, who was wearing a black robe, stood in the void nearby with his arms crossed. His long and narrow eyes were staring at Jian Wushuang with a strange light. The power of his sword just now doesn't seem to be weaker than mine, which could release two parts of my will at the same time. And he defeated Silver Wolf easily without using his strongest trump card. Haha, how interesting. I thought that since we have broken through to become principal's masters, we are no longer comparable to Heavenly Sword Marquis. But now it seems that we were wrong. Even if Heavenly Sword Marquis is not a principal's master, his strength is no weaker than ours. Saint Devil's son also thought to himself. The immortal saint crossed ranks to challenge the principal's master and won. This should be the first time in the history of the divine beginning realm. Heavenly Sword Marquis should also be called the #1 genius in the history of the divine beginning realm. Master Ku sighed quietly. Han Xin and Snow Saint were also secretly amazed. Silver Wolf was stronger than them before they broke through. Now that they had broken through to the principal's master, Silver Wolf should be slightly stronger than them. But in the end, even Silver Wolf was defeated by Jian Wushuang. This caused a huge wave in their hearts. In the vast void, Jian Wushuang had already put away his Blood Mountain sword. He looked at Silver Wolf coldly and said, "The principal's master is nothing." It was a simple sentence, but it was like a huge slap on Silver Wolf's face. Silver Wolf's face instantly turned the color of a pig's liver. His body trembled crazily, and the anger in his heart soared to the sky, but he could not flare up at all. As for those who had already broken through to become principal's master, they frowned when they heard Jian Wushuang's words, but they did not say anything. If Jian Wushuang, an immortal saint, had dared to say that principal's masters were nothing, he would have been laughed at by countless people. But now, he had defeated a principal's master in front of everyone. He was qualified to say these words. "Silver Wolf, you should be glad that I did not break through to become a principal's master in Bloodwave Temple. Otherwise, you would have died." Jian Wushuang looked at Silver Wolf coldly, looking down on him. After all, Silver Wolf had broken through to become a principal's master. Although he was not as strong as Jian Wushuang, it was very difficult or impossible for Jian Wushuang to kill him. Even if he relied on his own assassination techniques, it would not work. After all, his shadowless escape technique was just at the beginning, and he had only mastered the first move of the blood drop sword technique. If he was given more time, he would be able to understand more about the shadowless escape technique. If his swordsmanship improved again, he might really be able to keep Silver Wolf with his assassination skills. Jian Wushuang's words were casual, but in Silver Wolf's ears, they were like knives. He gritted his teeth and took a deep look at Jian Wushuang. Without saying another word, he turned around and retreated to the edge of the void. Obviously, he knew how humiliating it was for a principal's master to be defeated by an immortal saint in front of so many people. Now, the surrounding experts looked at him as if he was a joke. Of course, he did not want to stay here any longer. Chapter 3291, Inescapable Net Haha, Brother Heavenly Marquis. Emperor Ming, Di Hao, and the others were already walking toward Jian Wushuang. "Brother Heavenly Marquis, you're amazing," Emperor Ming could not help but exclaim. It has never happened in the history of the divine beginning realm that an immortal saint defeated a principal's master head-on. To put it bluntly, Brother Heavenly Marquis, you can be said to be the #1 immortal saint in the divine beginning realm since ancient times. I've never heard of an immortal saint who is stronger than you. Yes, it's incredible that the immortal saint defeated the principal's master. No wonder you dared to challenge the Silver Wolf. It turns out that you have such great strength, Di Hao added. Jian Wushuang just smiled faintly. To him, defeating the Silver Wolf was nothing. His basic strength was not weaker than the principal's master, and it was even slightly stronger. Once he used his life divine power, it was equivalent to having 2 parts of the power of will. Of course, it was much stronger than Silver Wolf, who only had 1 part of the power of will. If he used his strongest trump card, the heaven-cleaving skill, the burst of power was equivalent to 3 parts of the power of will, and Silver Wolf would not be able to withstand it. By the way, Brother Heavenly Marquis, why do I feel like you have 2 parts of the power of will when you defeated Silver Wolf in the end? Could it be that you have comprehended 2 principles at the same time in the Bloodwave Temple and have mastered 2 parts of the power of will? Underworld Emperor suddenly asked. No. Jian Wushuang shook his head. It's difficult to comprehend 1 principle, let alone 2. The reason why I can exert 2 parts of the power of will is because of some special reasons. Jian Wushuang did not explain too much. Of course, he would not spread the news about the Life Palace and the Life Divine Power. Underworld Emperor raised his eyebrows and did not ask any further questions. After the battle between Jian Wushuang and Silver Wolf, the surrounding experts immediately changed their opinion of Jian Wushuang. Then, they began to wait for the exit of the Bloodwave realm. During this time, some people would look at Jian Wushuang from time to time, but Jian Wushuang did not pay attention to them. In a corner of the void, Silver Wolf had already joined the people from the Life and Death Saint realm, but at this moment, his face was extremely ugly. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Damn Heavenly Sword Marquis. Silver Wolf's body trembled. He had never hated Jian Wushuang before. Since ancient times, there had never been a principal's master who was defeated by the immortal saint, but he was the first. He would undoubtedly become a disgrace among Principal's Masters in the future. All the Principal's Masters in the Divine Beginning realm would probably laugh at him. Not only in this era, but even after a long time, he would probably become a joke among the Principal's Masters. After a long time, his mood gradually calmed down. I didn't expect that although this Heavenly Sword Marquis didn't break through to become a Principal's Master, his strength is actually so tyrannical. I've miscalculated. However, there will always be gains and losses. Although I was defeated by him, I've already tested out his current strength. At the very least, I'll be more prepared when the 3 upper echelons of the Saint Realm make a move. Silver Wolf's eyes were cold. In the next moment, he took out his token and began to transmit the message. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. The Grand Palace was filled with a faint chaotic aura. In the center of this chaotic aura, 3 figures slowly gathered together. Although the 3 figures could not be seen under the influence of the aura they emitted was abnormally powerful and ancient. Sky Nether, are you ready to destroy the Saint Realm? A long voice rang out. It was a female voice. Of course I'm ready. As soon as Heavenly Sword Marquis comes out of the Bloodwave realm, my men will immediately make a move and not give him any chance to escape, said Sky Nether Master. That's good. This time, the 3 Saint Realms have joined hands to set up an inescapable net in order to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis. In this inescapable net, your move to destroy the Saint Realm is the most important part. If this part fails, our plan will fail, said the last person with a hoarse voice. Don't worry. Although there are a total of 10 entrances to the Bloodwave realm, there is only one exit. It is on the Sohar Island. This time, I have made ample preparations to destroy the holy region. I can ensure that the ring will not fail, Sky Nether Master said. Right now, I am not worried about whether Heavenly Sword Marquis will have a chance to escape. I am worried about the Temporal Temple. This time, the 3 Saint Realms have gone through so much trouble to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis in the Bloodwave realm, but we haven't killed him yet. The Temporal Temple should be extremely vigilant. In addition, although the 3 Saint Realms have been secretly setting up this encirclement, with the Temporal Temple's intelligence techniques, we might be able to detect some clues. If the Temporal Temple is prepared, it won't be so easy for us to succeed. Humph, so what if we are on guard? Even if the Temporal Temple had guessed that the 3 Saint Realms would attack Heavenly Sword Marquis, they would never have thought that we would pay so much attention to him this time. They would not be able to stop us with just their current forces. By the time they realize what is going on, we would have already succeeded. The hoarse voice said. That's true. The 3 Saint Realms went through a lot of trouble to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis. If he managed to escape, he must be very lucky, the female voice said. Oh, there's one more thing. It just came from the Bloodwave realm. Although Heavenly Sword Marquis didn't become a Principal's Master with the help of the opportunities in the Bloodwave Palace, his combat strength is above that of an ordinary Principal's Master. Silver Wolf of the Life and Death Saint Realm has already broken through to become a Principal's Master. However, he was defeated in a head-on fight with Heavenly Sword Marquis. He was defeated badly. If I'm not mistaken, Heavenly Sword Marquis has the combat strength of a Principal's Master, and has not weak among them, the hoarse voice said. The Immortal Saint can actually defeat the Principal's Master? This Heavenly Sword Marquis is truly terrifying, but it is precisely because of this that he deserves to die. Sky Nether Master's voice was icy cold. Yes, we have already given him too many opportunities to grow. If we allow him to continue growing, I'm afraid that it won't be long before our 3 great Saint Realms are completely unable to do anything to him. Therefore, this time, no matter what price we have to pay, we must kill him. Even if we have to completely lose all decorum with the Temporal Temple and erupt into a great battle, we will not hesitate. The hoarse voice was unusually firm. All right, the 2 of you. It won't be long before Heavenly Sword Marquis comes out of the Bloodwave realm. We should start moving as well. As he spoke, the 3 of them slowly disappeared from the palace. Chapter 3292, Surging Undercurrent, Part 1, everything in the Bloodwave realm had calmed down. The fight for the Bloodwave token had long ended, and all the opportunities in the Bloodwave Palace had been obtained. The trip to the Bloodwave realm had come to an end. Many experts present were quietly waiting for the spatial passage to appear. Jian Wushuang, Emperor Ming, Di Hao, and the others were also waiting quietly. But at this moment, Heavenly Sword Marquis. A message suddenly came. Jian Wushuang immediately took out a message token. Temple Master Baixing. The person who sent the message was Temple Master Baixing Heavenly Sword Marquis. I heard that you defeated Silver Wolf, who had broken through to become a Principal's Master, in the Bloodwave realm? Temple Master Baixing asked first. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. Since ancient times, you are the first person to defeat a Principal's Master in the Immortal Saint realm. You are indeed impressive, Temple Master Baixing said. You flatter me, Temple Master, Jian Wushuang said humbly. Don't be too happy. I'm not sending you a message to compliment you. I'm telling you that the three Saint realms will continue to make moves against you, Temple Master Baixing said. Oh. Jian Wushuang frowned. The intelligence department of the Temporal Temple has already detected the high-level experts of the three Saint realms and secretly dispatched many of them. Although we haven't figured out where they are heading, everyone's attention is focused on the Bloodwave realm at this time. In addition to what the three Saint realms did to you in the Bloodwave realm, even a fool can guess that they are targeting you, Temple Master Baixing said. Jian Wushuang nodded secretly. Indeed, in the Bloodwave realm, the three Saint realms had risked everything to kill him, but they did not succeed. Now that he had obtained the opportunity in the Bloodwave Palace, his strength had soared. This was definitely a greater threat to the three Saint realms. The three Saint realms would definitely not let him continue to grow. No matter what, I am a member of the Temporal Temple. It's fine if the three Saint realms attack me in the Bloodwave realm, but if they attack me in the outside world in front of the Temporal Temple, it would be a total loss of face with the Temporal Temple. It seems that the three Saint realms would rather fight the Temporal Temple than kill me, Jian Wushuang thought. There are quite a number of experts from the three great Saint realms. My Temporal Temple has only detected a small part of them, but even so, it is already very shocking. That is why I am sending you a message now. When you leave the Bloodwave realm, you must be careful. After all, there is only one exit to the Bloodwave realm, and that is the Sohar Island. The three great Saint realms will most likely set up an inescapable net there. Once you leave the Bloodwave realm, they will use lightning-fast methods to kill you. Yes. Temple Master Baixing's voice was cold. Of course, you are a member of the Temporal Temple, so we will do our best to protect you. When we sense the three Saint realms are making a move, I will gather people as quickly as possible. I will lead them myself. When you come out of the Bloodwave realm, the experts of the Temporal Temple will come to meet you. Thank you, Temple Master. Jian Wushuang thanked him immediately. Don't thank me yet. I feel that the three Saint realms will definitely do something big this time. I can't guarantee that I can protect you, so I can only do my best. You also have to be well prepared. Fortunately, you have a good life-saving ability. When the two sides really fall out, you have to remember that you have to try your best to survive. Don't worry about anything else. Temple Master Baixing said. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded heavily. After the communication ended, Jian Wushuang opened his eyes and let out a long sigh. Brother Heavenly Marquis, what's wrong? Emperor Ming, Di Hao, and the others looked at each other. Temple Master Baixing just sent me a message saying that the three Saint realms will make a move against me on Sohar Island. He wants me to be ready, Jian Wushuang said seriously. Three Saint realms? The expression of the Underworld Emperor changed. The three Saint realms are really persistent. Qian Hongzi cursed in a low voice. Since they entered the Temporal Temple, they had been in conflict with the three Saint realms. Later, the three Saint realms joined hands to kill Jian Wushuang once, but they did not succeed. But now, the three Saint realms wanted to attack Jian Wushuang not only in the Bloodwave realm but also outside the Bloodwave realm. The three Saint realms and I have been fighting to the death for a long time. I expected the three saint realms to treat me like this. Jian Wushuang was not surprised. He pondered for a moment, then he took out another token. This token was given to him by Bloodwave. Master Bloodwave. Jian Wushuang sent a message directly. Jian Wushuang, why are you looking for me? Bloodwave replied quickly. Hearing Bloodwave's reply, Jian Wushuang could not help but feel happy. Bloodwave had given him this token to contact his original body when he went to the universe battlefield. Therefore, Jian Wushuang was not sure whether this token could be used to contact Bloodwave's consciousness in the Bloodwave Temple. But now it seemed that this token could be used to contact Bloodwave's token. Master Bloodwave, I want to ask, how long will it take before the exit of the Bloodwave realm appears? Jian Wushuang asked. An hour, Bloodwave replied. So fast? Jian Wushuang frowned and then asked, Master Bloodwave, is there a second exit of the Bloodwave realm? In Jian Wushuang's opinion, with his current strength, he did not need to worry about anything in the Bloodwave realm. However, if he was outside the Bloodwave realm, it would not be appropriate for him to confront the three saint realms directly. Therefore, if there was a second exit in the Bloodwave realm, he could leave quietly through the second exit, and all the preparations made by the three saint realms on the Sohar Island would be in vain. However, Bloodwave replied, my Bloodwave realm has long been fixed. There can only be one exit, and the location of the exit has been fixed for a long time. If my original body was here, I could easily change the location of the exit or create more exits. However, I'm only a consciousness now, and I can't change anything. Is that so? Jian Wushuang felt a little regretful. Jian Wushuang, you seem to be in some trouble? Bloodwave asked. Yes, I am. Jian Wushuang nodded. As expected, my enemies in the outside world have set up an inescapable net at the exit of the Bloodwave realm. Once I appear from the Bloodwave world, I will be immediately attacked by them. I see. Bloodwave understood and paused, then he continued, the exit of the Bloodwave realm cannot be changed, but there is still a certain connection between the exit of the Bloodwave realm. After you go out, if you are really attacked by them, I can still give you some help. Oh! Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Chapter 3293, Surging Undercurrent, Part 2, __. Don't be too happy. Don't forget that I'm just a consciousness now. The help I can give you is very limited. As for whether you can escape this crisis, it's up to you, Bloodwave said. I see. Jian Wushuang nodded. Master Bloodwave, can you do me one more favor and make the space passage out of the Bloodwave realm appear later? That's fine, but the Bloodwave realm has its own rules. Even I can't change it too much, or the balance here will be completely broken. So I can give you a delay of 3 days at most, Bloodwave said. 3 days. That should be enough. Thank you, Master Bloodwave, Jian Wushuang said gratefully. Okay, Bloodwave replied and did not say anything else. At this moment, Jian Wushuang's mind was racing. 3 days may not be very useful to others, but to me, these short 3 days are enough for me to be fully prepared. In addition, these 3 days should be enough for me to master that move. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands and looked at the surrounding Underworld Emperor and the others. Everyone, I need to meditate alone for a while. I hope you can protect me. Don't let anyone disturb me before the spatial passage from the Bloodwave realm appears. No problem. Di Hao nodded. Brother Heavenly Marquis, don't worry about cultivating. With us here, no one will disturb you, Underworld Emperor added. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly, then closed his eyes and fell into meditation. Time slowly passed in the Bloodwave realm. The spatial passage that was supposed to leave the Bloodwave realm would appear in an hour. However, because of Jian Wushuang, the appearance of the spatial passage would be delayed for 3 days. During this time, the outside world was already in turmoil. On the vast drill ground of the time-space island. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Figures appeared one after another. In a short while, more than 30 people had gathered on the drill ground. Each of them was emitting an extremely powerful aura. Each of these auras had surpassed the immortal saint and reached the level of principal's masters. More than 30 principals masters had gathered in a short time. At this moment, whoosh, whoosh, 2 more figures appeared. They were Temple Master Bai Xing and Ba Kang, who had brought Jian Wushuang to the Temporal Temple. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Is everyone here? Temple Master Bai Xing looked around coldly. Time is too short. Most of the experts of our temporal temple are roaming in the universe battlefield or other places. We can't gather too many of them in such a short time. Most of them just happened to stay on the island. Other than the experts who have to show mercy on the island, most of the principals masters who can be mobilized are here. Some of them are not on the Spacetome Island, but they went to the Sohar Island as soon as they received the order, Ba Kang said coldly. Temple Master Bai Xing's eyes flickered when he heard this. The Temporal Temple was one of the 3 freedom alliances in the divine beginning realm. It had always been mysterious and unpredictable. However, although the Temporal Temple had a deep foundation and powerful means, there were not many true experts. When Jian Wushuang had left his divine seat, he had already learned that the current Temporal Temple had only a small number of experts. There were only about 1,000 of them alive, many of whom were immortal saints, and only a small number were principals masters. Moreover, because no one dared to provoke the Temporal Temple and there were few conflicts with other forces, let alone wars, most of the experts of the Temporal Temple were wandering outside. Very, very few of them actually stayed on the Temporal Island. If given some time, the Temporal Temple could naturally summon even more experts, and even invite many experts who did not belong to the Temporal Temple to come and help. But unfortunately, this incident had happened too suddenly. The Temporal Temple had just discovered the movements of the 3 saint-level experts. Thus, in such a short period of time, they did not summon many experts. The 3 great saint realms are spending a lot of money this time. With just the experts we have gathered now, I'm afraid it won't be enough to deal with them, Temple Master Bai Xing said. That's right. However, the good news is that our Temporal Temple is led by Master Lin Guang. The 10-man team that has been adventuring in the universe battlefield has arrived at the edge of the divine beginning realm. I've already sent a message to him that they will arrive at the Sohar Island as soon as possible. Among Master Lin Guang's 10-man team, besides Master Lin Guang, whose combat power is no less than mine, there are 3 other top-notch principals masters. Once this 10-man team arrives, our combat power will soar. Ba Kang said. Master Lin Guang's team? I hope they can make it in time. Palace Master Bai Xing nodded to himself. Other than that, the 4 who have been staying in the quiet moon abyss have already left. Ba Kang added. Oh. Palace Master Bai Xing's eyes immediately lit up. Although those 4 old fellows are members of our Temporal Temple, no one can move them apart from the Palace Master. Even when I asked them to act, they weren't willing to pay any attention to me. They're actually willing to act this time? I don't know. Perhaps because their opponents are the 3 great saint-level experts, the 4 of them have already moved out, Ba Kang said. Since these 4 old fellows have already acted, then even if we are a bit lacking in manpower, we aren't afraid of those 3 great saint-level experts. Temple Master Bai Xing laughed coldly, then waved his hand. Follow me and set off. Our target is the Whirling Island. With Palace Master Bai Xing's order, the more than 30 principals masters of the Temporal Temple set off toward the Sohar Island at their fastest speed. This was the 3rd heaven, which was located at the core of the divine beginning realm. In this 3rd heaven, there were many top forces and sects standing. Other than the 3 great saint realms, there were also the 4 great divine races and the 8 directions heavenly sect. Any of the forces had extremely powerful foundations. At this moment, within one of the 4 great divine clans, the Nine-Tailed clan, there were nearly 10 human figures floating in the air. Su. A pitilessly beautiful human figure suddenly rushed out from a towering mountain below and appeared in front of these human figures. Third sister, have you seen Mother? A charming young lady dressed in a white robe asked. No. The beautiful figure that rushed out from the mountain was a red-robed enchanting woman. Her every move was enough to make people's hearts tremble. She was definitely a natural beauty. Lord Mother is still in closed-door cultivation. She doesn't want to see us. How can that be? Sixth sister is dead and has been killed. Lord Mother is still not willing to come out of closed-door cultivation. The charming white-robed girl said angrily. Perhaps Lord Mother's seclusion this time is no small matter. However, it doesn't matter. If Lord Mother doesn't come out of seclusion, we will be the ones to take revenge for Sixth Sister. It's the same. The red-robed woman's gaze was extremely cold. Chapter 3294, Leaving the Bloodwave Realm. Mother is in closed-door cultivation. Among us sisters, eldest sister, second sister, and fourth sister have been adventuring in the universe battlefield all year round. Now, in the divine beginning realm, only the two of us can avenge sixth sister, said the charming white-robed girl. Let's go. We'll go to the Sohar Island and skin Heavenly Sword Marquis alive. The charming red-robed girl's killing intent soared to the sky. Soon, led by the red-robed woman and the white-robed charming girl, the experts of the Ninetail clan headed directly to the Sohar Island. The Bloodwave realm was still calm. At this moment, it was already the fourth day since Jian Wushuang and the others came out of the Bloodwave Palace. Normally, the spatial passage would appear shortly after Jian Wushuang and the others came out of the Bloodwave Palace. But this time, it was obviously delayed. However, after 3 days, the spatial passage still appeared. Buzz, buzz, buzz. A large amount of strange power gathered in the void, and a huge spatial passage appeared in the eyes of all the experts present. It's time to leave. Let's go, let's go. Countless experts gathered near the Bloodwave Palace stood up and rushed toward the spatial passage. Brother Heavenly Marquis. Underworld Emperor also woke Jian Wushuang up. Has the exit passage appeared? Jian Wushuang raised his head and looked at the huge spatial passage in front of him. Fortunately, this spatial passage was delayed for 3 days. During these 3 days, not only did I have enough time, but I also successfully mastered that move. With my current strength and many trump cards, even if the 3 Saint Realms want to kill me, it won't be easy. Moreover, the Temporal Temple will be on my side. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed with a bright light. 3 Saint Realms, as expected, this should be the last time you can attack me. If you succeed, that's fine. But if you fail and let me escape, it won't be long before the end of the 3 Saint Realms. Come. Come. Jian Wushuang took a deep breath and stepped into the space passage with Emperor Ming, Di Hao, and the others. This was a vast sea with no name. In the center of the sea, there was an unremarkable island. But this island had become the center of attention in the divine beginning realm. This small island was the Sohar Island. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. There was only one exit from the Bloodwave realm, and it led to the Sohar Island. At this moment, many experts had gathered on the Sohar Island. Most of these experts came from various forces and sects in the divine beginning realm. They were all waiting for the young experts from their own sects. They walked out of the Bloodwave realm. Along the way, these experts were chatting casually. The content of their conversation was about the things that happened in the Bloodwave realm. This year's competition in the Bloodwave realm is even more intense than the previous ones. Right. This time, many experts died in the competition in the Bloodwave realm. I heard that even the proud child of heaven from the Nine-tailed clan died there. The 3 great saint realms are even more miserable. The 3 great saint realms should have fallen at the hands of that little fellow called Heavenly Sword Marquis. I have to say, that little fellow is really powerful. He was able to cause such heavy losses to the 3 great saint realms alone. Furthermore, he was able to defeat the principal's master with his immortal saint realm cultivation. This is unprecedented. Heavenly Sword Marquis is indeed very powerful. However, with the style of the 3 great saint realms, they will definitely not let this matter rest. Look around. Have you noticed that not a single expert from the 3 great saint realms has appeared on the Sohar Island? It's true. Not only the 3 great saint realms but also the experts from the Temporal Temple. No one has come to the Sohar Island yet. What are they trying to do? Who knows? It has nothing to do with us anyway. Well, just watch. Most of the experts on the Soha Island could see that something was wrong. After all, the forces of the divine beginning realm had sent experts to this Soha Island to receive their subordinates. However, the temporal temple and the three great saint realms did not even send a single expert. Of course, something was wrong. Time passed. Finally, a huge spatial passage appeared in the sky above the central region of Soha Island. This spatial tunnel seemed to be connected to two different dimensions. The moment it appeared, it immediately attracted the attention of all the experts present. Are they all about to come out? Many experts on the Soha Island raised their heads at the same time and looked at this spatial tunnel. Soon, people began to pass through this spatial tunnel one after another. These people were naturally the immortal saints who were adventuring in the Bloodwave realm. After they came out of the spatial tunnel, they immediately found the experts from their sects and hurried over to meet up. The Light King, the Saint Devil's son, and Master Ku, who had already broken through to become Principal's Masters, also walked out of the spatial tunnel one by one. Su, the Saint Devil's son and the immortal saints of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance directly came to the front of a black-clothed skinny elder. This black-clothed skinny elder was a high-level expert of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. How does it feel to break through to become a Principal's Master? The black-clothed skinny elder smiled and glanced at the Saint Devil's son. Not bad. The Saint Devil's son smiled. Unfortunately, the competition within the Bloodwave realm is too crazy. It wasn't easy for me to obtain a Bloodwave token for myself, but I wasn't able to obtain a second one. Therefore, I was the only one who broke through to become a Principal's Master among the people from the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance who entered the Bloodwave realm. It's already not bad to be able to obtain one. The black-robed old man smiled. Let's go, we'll leave this place first. Why are you in such a hurry? The Saint Devil's son was puzzled. It's not that we're in a hurry. Something big will happen here soon. If we stay, we'll inevitably get involved. So we should leave this place first. At the very least, we should leave Soha Island first. The black-robed elder said. The Saint Devil's son's pupils constricted. He looked around and realized that it was not just the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. The other forces and sects had also left Soha Island as soon as they received their experts from the Bloodwave realm. Saint Devil's son's heart moved, but he had already reacted. Without hesitation, Saint Devil's son and the others also left the island. There were still people coming out from the huge space passage. At this moment, several figures stepped out from the space passage. Among these people, there were 3 people in the lead, and the one standing in the middle was Jian Wushuang, who carried a long sword on his back and had a cold face. Chapter 3295, Spacetime Imprisonment. When Jian Wushuang stepped out of the space passage and appeared in the void above Soha Island, the entire Soha Island fell silent at first. Then, countless eyes looked at Jian Wushuang in unison. In an instant, Jian Wushuang became the focus of everyone's attention. Heavenly Sword Marquis? Is he Heavenly Sword Marquis? Finally, we meet the immortal saint who defeated the Rule Master. The experts from various sects chatted casually and looked at Jian Wushuang with different eyes. Some praised him, some were amazed, and some sneered. When Jian Wushuang appeared, the experts from the 3 saint realms who had been hiding around the island immediately made their moves. Buzz! A vast power of time and space suddenly rose and spread out. The power of time and space spread so fast that it almost covered the entire island the moment it rose. All the experts on the island sensed the difference in their own space and time. This is space-time imprisonment. It's space-time imprisonment, but it's not just one expert who used this technique. Who could it be? Many experts looked around, trying to find the person who used space-time imprisonment. However, they could not find any trace of him. Space-time imprisonment could only be used by experts who had extremely high attainments in the use of space-time. In the entire divine beginning realm, there were not many people who were qualified to use this move, and any one of them was a top Principal's Master. Now, it was obvious that such an expert had arrived at the Soha Island. Space-time imprisonment. Sure enough. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes slightly. He was not surprised to see this scene in the surrounding space-time. His life-saving ability was very strong, and one of the life-saving methods was the third move of the space-time divine skill, space-time teleportation. Once he mastered this move, he could go almost anywhere, even though the world was vast. In the Bloodwave realm, he relied on this move to make the three experts of the Saint realm unable to do anything to him. There was only one way to restrict space-time teleportation, and that was to imprison space-time. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Only by using a great method to completely imprison the surrounding space-time could space-time travel not be used. The three Saint realms had long known this, so since they were going to make a move this time, they would naturally be well prepared. They would certainly imprison space-time from the beginning so that he could not use space-time travel to escape. According to Temple Master Bai Xing, there are only a dozen or so experts in the Divine Beginning realm who are qualified to use space-time travel. More than half of them are in the Temporal Temple. I wonder who is using space-time travel now? Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. He was also looking for the person who had cast the space-time imprisonment, but unfortunately, he did not find anything. At this moment, Master Qingyang, I didn't expect that the three Saint realms would invite you here this time. They really put in a lot of effort. An angry voice sounded, then, a black-clothed elder rushed over from the void outside the Sohar Island and appeared beside Jian Wushuang in the blink of an eye. Lord Hunyuan. Jian Wushuang and the people from the Temporal Temple immediately saluted. It was Hunyuan Master, who had escorted them into the Bloodwave realm. However, Hunyuan Master ignored them and looked at the void in the distance, his eyes filled with anger. Haha, Hunyuan, you and I haven't seen each other for many years. I remember the last time we met was in the universe battlefield, but we fought together. A hearty laughter sounded in the void. A green figure gradually appeared in the void. This green figure was a middle-aged man with long green hair. He was handsome and unrestrained, and the smile on his face was extremely gentle as if he was chatting with Master Hunyuan. Seeing this person, the surrounding void immediately let out a wave of exclamations. Qingyang Master. It's actually him. The three great Saint realms are really generous. Not only is Qingyang Master powerful, but his use of the space-time principles has also reached the peak. However, Qingyang Master has always ignored the fights between the various forces in the Divine Beginning realm. He only wants to increase his own strength. It's rumored that someone once paid a huge price to ask him for help, but he didn't pay any attention to it. But this time, he actually made an exception. It's not an exception. In my opinion, the three holy realms must have given Master Qingyang a condition that he couldn't refuse. Regardless of whether Master Qingyang really doesn't care about the competition between the forces of the Divine Beginning realm, if there really is a treasure or condition that drives him crazy, he would definitely not refuse. The crowd was discussing animatedly. Master Hunyuan stared at Master Qingyang who appeared, but his face was extremely unsightly. Qingyang, you know that you've fought alongside me before. This time, can you give me some face and leave? Haha, Primal Chaos, you and I do have some friendship. If it were anything else, since you have stepped in, I would have left without saying anything. But this time, I can't. The conditions offered by the three great Saint realms are enough to drive me crazy and make me disregard everything. So, I can only apologize. Qingyang Master said. Qingyang, your use of the space-time principles has indeed reached the peak. But don't forget that in terms of space-time, my Temporal Temple is the strongest in the Divine Beginning realm. So what if you have restricted space-time? Once the experts of our Temporal Temple arrive, we can completely break your space-time restriction in an instant. Just based on these methods of yours, you want to keep Heavenly Sword Marquis? Isn't it a little laughable? Primal Chaos Master said. Yes, you're right. Qingyang Master nodded slightly. With just my strength alone, facing the many experts of the Temporal Temple, it's impossible for me to completely restrict space-time. However, what if I add it in? Qingyang Master flipped his wrist, and a purple-gold command flag appeared in his hand. This purple-gold command flag emitted a dense amount of time and space energy. The density of this time and space energy caused the expressions of everyone present to change. This is the painting sky golden flag. Master Hunyuan stared fiercely. Yes, it is the Sky Golden Flag. It is one of the top-tier space-time true treasures in the Divine Beginning realm, and it has always been a legend. Master Qingyang smiled. Legend has it that 80 million years ago, in a secret region of the universe battlefield, 4 Sky Golden Flags appeared at the same time. One of them was obtained by the Palace Master of your temporal temple, but the other 3 rods drifted into the void space of the universe, and their whereabouts are unknown. However, no one knows that one of the 3 sky-painting golden flags was found by the people of the 3 great saint realms many years ago. This time, the 3 sanctums are asking me to lend them to me for 10 million years. Chapter 3296, Void God. Golden Sky Painting Flag. The 3 great saint realms really have big arms. They even took out the golden sky painting flag. No wonder even you were moved and listened to the orders of the 3 great saint realms. Master Hunyuan's expression was dark and cold. He knew about this golden sky painting flag. Just as Master Qingyang had said, this painting sky golden flag was definitely one of the strongest time and space true treasures in the Divine Beginning realm. It was very rare. Previously, he had known that the one-stroke painting sky golden flag was a technique used by Time and Temporal Palace Master. This painting sky golden flag was a very important treasure even to Temporal Palace Master. To Master Qingyang, it was even more useful. With the golden sky painting banner, Master Qingyang's strength and life-saving ability would be greatly improved. In the next 10 million years, he could go to many places in the universe battlefield that he did not dare to go before. The opportunities and treasures he could get there were far beyond what he could compare with before. It was because of this that Master Qingyang could not refuse the conditions offered by the 3 saint realms, so he came here to help them kill Jian Wushuang. Hunyuan, you and I have fought side by side before. You know my strength very well. I may be able to break the space-time imprisonment that I cast alone. But now, I'm using the space-time imprisonment that I cast with the golden painting sky flag. Even if it's your temporal temple, no one can break my space-time imprisonment unless your temple master comes personally. This little guy named Heavenly Sword Marquis has absolutely no chance of escaping. Master Qingyang. Master Qingyang's voice shook the sky. Hearing this, Master Hunyuan's face turned extremely ugly. Jian Wushuang, on the other hand, was quite calm. He looked at Master Qingyang in the void with indifferent eyes. Master Qingyang, is it? At most, you can help the 3 saint realms to use space-time imprisonment. But if you want to kill me, the 3 saint realms will have to arrange other experts. But I don't know how many people from the 3 saint realms have come to kill me. There's no need to hide anymore. Let's show up together. As soon as Jian Wushuang finished his words, the void on Soha Island suddenly became silent. However, this silence only lasted for a moment before it was immediately broken by someone. In the void around Soha Island, waves of extremely powerful aura rose one after another. Heavenly Sword Marquis. A little guy at the saint level can still be so calm when facing the 3 saint realms. His boldness is indeed extraordinary. I've long heard that Heavenly Sword Marquis is the #1 genius of this era in the Divine Beginning realm. It can even be said that he is the #1 person in the Divine Beginning realm since ancient times. I've finally met him today. So what if he is a genius? As long as he is targeted by the 3 great saint realms, no matter how talented he is, he will only die. 3 consecutive voices came from 3 different directions. Then, from these 3 directions, many figures rushed over side by side. There were 15 people in each of these 3 directions. When the 3 directions were added together, there were a total of 45 people. Just by looking at the number, it was not considered too many. However, when the many experts within and outside the Soha Island noticed the aura emitted by these 45 people, their expressions turned into shock and astonishment. This was because each of the 45 experts who came from these 3 directions at the same time emitted an aura that belonged to a principal's master. All 45 of them were principal's masters. Oh, my God! All of them are principal's masters? More than 40 principal's masters came together. If you have problems with this website, Please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Are you kidding me? Everyone was shocked by the generosity of the three Saint Realms. They had guessed that the three Saint Realms would attack Jian Wushuang, so they would send many experts. However, they did not expect that the three Saint Realms would send so many experts at once. What did it mean to have 45 Principles Masters? The experts from the big forces who were Principles Masters were better off, but the immortal saints who had just walked out of the Bloodwave realm were shocked to an unprecedented extent. For them, Principles Masters were high and mighty, and it was difficult to meet one. But now, 45 Principles Masters had come at the same time, which made them confused. Moreover, the 45 Principles Masters who had just arrived in the three great Saint Realms were not the kind of Principles Masters who had just grasped a portion of the power of their wills. The auras on their bodies were all extremely powerful. They were obviously much stronger than the Principles Masters who had just broken through and grasped a portion of the power of their wills. In other words, these 45 Principles Masters had grasped at least 2 portions of the power of their wills. Especially the 3 people in the lead. That's Sky Nether Master from the Destruction Saint Realm. There's also Star River Master from the Life and Death Saint Realm, and the last one is the 8 Treasures Master from the Flame Saint Realm. Heavens, it's actually the 3 of them. Sky Nether Master's status in the Destruction Saint Realm is only second to that Sacred Master. It's said that he had already reached the peak of the Void 5th stage many years ago. Now that so many years have passed, even if he hasn't reached the Void 6th stage, has probably not far from it. Star River Master is even more terrifying. 30 million years ago in the universe battlefield, he once fought with an expert of the 6th level of the Void. In the end, he retreated calmly. In terms of strength, he is probably stronger than Sky Nether Master. As for 8 Treasures Master, although he is slightly weaker than Star River Master, he is also an absolute expert at the peak of the 5th level of the Void. In order to kill a puny Heavenly Sword Marquis, 3 peak level 5 Void Realm experts were alarmed. Inside and outside the Sohar Island, the Principles Masters from the various powers were all trembling in their hearts. The immortal saints present were relatively inexperienced. They did not know what kind of existences the leader of the 3 was, but they, the Principles Masters, knew. The peak of the 5 states of the Void, which was the realm Sky Nether Master and the other 2 were at. In the Divine Beginning realm, there were different levels of strength between each realm. For example, the Immortal Saints, from False Saint to True Saint rank 7, then to Peak Saint and Invincible Saint, there were almost rank 10. The Immortal Saints were like this, and the Principles Masters naturally had different levels. However, there were not that many levels of Principles Masters. Principles Masters, what did they mean by Principles Masters? They had completely comprehended and grasped the principles, and at the same time, they had the power of will. This was what Principles Masters were like. However, the title of Principles Master was only spread in the Divine Beginning realm. And outside the Divine Beginning realm, in the even more vast universe battlefield, Principles Masters had another title, which was Void God. Chapter 3297, 6th stage Void Realm __ Void God could enter the Void and walk in the void space of the cosmos. Because of this, only Principles Masters could enter the cosmos battlefield to explore. Because those below Law Masters could not walk in the cosmos battlefield, they naturally could not survive. And Void Gods were divided into 6 stages of the Void. This 6th stage of the Void was mainly decided by the willpower they grasped. Just like ordinary Void first stage experts, they could only grasp a portion of willpower. Like Underworld Emperor, Vast Emperor, Silver Wolf, and the other Principles Masters who had just broken through, they could only comprehend a single principle and grasp a portion of willpower, hence, they were all at the level of the first level of the Void Realm. The second level of the Void Realm would be able to grasp 2 portions of the power of the will. They could comprehend 2 portions of the power of the will at the same time. They could also open up their own mystic realms and obtain a second portion of the power of the will. For the third level of the Void Realm, under normal circumstances, they would be able to comprehend 2 portions of the power of the will at the same time and open up their own mystic realms. Among the 4 realms of the void, there were those who comprehended 3 principles at the same time and opened their own mystic realms. There were also those who comprehended only 2 principles and opened their own mystic realms. However, the 2 principles that he comprehended had already perfectly fused together. This was because when 2 principles fused together, one could obtain a portion of the power of the will. This level could already be considered as the peak level among the principles masters, void gods. The void 5 realms, under the premise of comprehending 3 principles at the same time and opening up their own mystic realms, 2 of the principles would be perfectly fused together. This level was already considered a supreme existence. Even in the entire divine beginning realm, there were pitifully few of them. For example, the Sky Serene Master, Star River Master, and 8 Treasures Master that appeared now belonged to this level. There were also the 3 Palace Masters of the Heaven Cleaving Alliance. 2 of them also belonged to this level. After reaching this level, they were already a magnet in the divine beginning realm. They were super experts, and no force or sect dared to look down on them. Even the 3 Great Freedom Alliance and the 3 Great Saint Realms, when facing experts at this level, they would also treat them with caution and not dare to provoke them. As for the 6 realms of the void, they were even more amazing. They either comprehended 4 principles at the same time and fused 2 of them together, or they comprehended 3 principles at the same time and perfectly fused all 3 of them together. No matter which one it was, as long as one had reached this level and grasped a total of 6 wills, then his battle prowess could be said to be earth-shattering. In the divine beginning realm, he could absolutely walk unhindered. However, the 6 states of the void were not something that could be easily achieved. In the entire divine beginning realm, the number of principles masters who had reached the 6 states of the void could be counted on one's fingers. On the surface, the experts of the 6 states of the void that the outside world already knew of, Palace Master Bai Xing of the Temporal Temple was one of them. The strongest Palace Master among the 3 Palace Masters of the Heaven Cleaving Alliance had also reached the 6 states of the void. Of course, the 6 states of the void only referred to the levels of Principles Masters. However, the true combat strength of a Principles Masters did not only depend on the power of his will, but it also included many other aspects, for example, the absolute art he created, his comprehension of the Tao, his special use of the principles, and so on. If he was strong enough in these aspects, even if he only grasped one part of the power of his will, he could still be compared to a Principles Master who grasped 2 parts of the power of his will. Just like Master Qingyang, who was currently using the space-time imprisonment. He only grasped 4 parts of the power of his will and was at the 4th level of the void realm. However, his use of the space-time principles was very impressive, therefore, even if he met an ordinary expert of the 5th void realm, he would still be able to tangle with him. Now that he had obtained the golden sky painting banner, a space-time supreme treasure, even if he were to face an expert of the 5th void realm, he would probably be able to fight him. Moreover, the Master Star River, who was at the peak of the 5th void realm, was able to retreat easily from an expert of the 6th void realm. This proved that they were very powerful, but now, just to kill Jian Wushuang, the immortal saint, the 3 saint realms had sent 3 experts at the peak of the 5 void realms, and more than 40 principles masters at the bottom of the 2 void realms. It was indeed a big deal. To kill me, the 3 saint realms sent so many experts. You really think highly of me. Jian Wushuang smiled coldly. It's been a long time since the 3 saint realms joined hands, let alone sending so many principles masters at once. So, Heavenly Sword Marquis, you can die in peace. The voice of the Sky Nether Master was warm, it made people feel extremely gentle. Little guy, you're just an immortal saint, so you're not worth the trouble of the 3 saint realms. Unfortunately, you're too special, and your secret is too big, so the 3 saint realms don't dare to be careless. So today, I have to bully the weak. Master Star River in a black robe looked at Jian Wushuang. He looked at Jian Wushuang. Little guy, I advise you to stop struggling and let us kill you. This way, we can save trouble and you can suffer less. The 8 Treasures Master in a golden robe was a delicate girl. Her eyes were shining with a faint golden light and she looked extremely charming. Humph, you want to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis? Have you asked my temporal temple? Master Hun Yuan suddenly snorted. As soon as he finished speaking, A large amount of tyrannical auras rose in the void beside him. Each of these auras was extremely tyrannical. Any one of them was far superior to the immortal saint. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Clearly, the auras that erupted at this moment all belonged to the principal's masters. 3 Saint Realms, how dare you? A low shout echoed in the void like thunder, resounding throughout the entire Sohar Island. At the same time, this low shout contained an extremely terrifying pressure. This pressure was much stronger than anyone present, even Sky Nether Master, Star River Master, and 8 Treasures Master. After that, a large group of figures rushed over. This pressure, it seems that the person from the Temporal Temple has come personally. Sky Nether Master looked at the group of people charging over, his expression still indifferent. Bai Xing, huh? I've dealt with them many years ago. Looks like we'll have the chance to fight again today. Star River Master smiled slightly. It's not just Bai Xing who has come personally. Even Ba Kang has come. Even though this Ba Kang hasn't broken through to the 5th level of the void space for a long time, his battle prowess is indeed extraordinary. Even if I were to face him, I don't have absolute confidence in winning. 8 Treasures Master also spoke. While the 3 of them were chatting and laughing, the many principals masters of the Temporal Temple, under the guidance of Palace Master Bai Xing and Ba Kang, arrived at the Sohar Island. Chapter 3298, Battle, Begin. More than 30 principals masters of the Temporal Temple, led by Temple Master Bai Xing and Ba Kang, had already appeared on the Sohar Island, standing next to Jian Wushuang. However, compared to the huge lineup of the 3 Saint Realms, the Temporal Temple only had about 30 principals masters, so there was obviously a gap between them. As expected, it's just as we thought. Because we didn't have much preparation, the Temporal Temple can't gather too many experts in a short period of time. Now that they can gather so many, it should be the Temporal Temple's limit. Sky Nether Master smiled faintly. In terms of overall strength, the Temporal Temple, as one of the 3 great freedom alliances, was indeed very powerful. Compared to any other Saint Realm, it was a little stronger. If it were to fight against one great Saint Realm alone, the Temporal Temple would naturally be able to gain the upper hand. But this time, the Temporal Temple had to fight against the 3 Saint Realms at the same time. Naturally, it would be difficult. Just from the experts present, it was obvious that the 3 Saint Realms were much stronger. Bai Xing, long time no see. How have you been? Star River Master's gaze was cold as he looked toward Temple Master Bai Xing. Star River Master, the 3 of you Saint Realms have openly attacked the experts under my Temporal Temple. Why? Do you want to start a war with my Temporal Temple? Temple Master Bai Xing said coldly. We 3 Saint Realms don't have such thoughts. We are here for one purpose, and that is to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis. As long as he is dead, the 3 Saint Realms will immediately retreat. We will not dare to offend the Temporal Temple again, Star River Master said. Bai Xing, if you are sensible, let us kill Heavenly Sword Marquis. That way, both of us can live in peace, Sky Nether Master said. What a joke. Palace Master Bai Xing sneered, you obviously want to kill the people of my Temporal Temple, but you want my Temporal Temple to sit back and do nothing? What do you 3 Saint Realms regard my Temporal Temple as? If that's the case, it seems that we can't come to an agreement, Star River Master said. Since we can't come to an agreement, let's just attack directly. We'll see who's stronger, Sky Nether Master said. Leave Bai Xing to me. I haven't fought with her for a long time. I'd like to see if her strength has improved after so many years, Star River Master said with a smile. I'll deal with Ba Kang. As for the rest, let's divide them up. 8 Treasures Master smiled slightly. Following Star River Master's order, 45 rule masters of the 3 Saint Realms immediately moved. Powerful auras pressed down on Jian Wushuang and the others. Be careful. Don't fight them head-on. Remember, our goal is to buy time. Temple Master Bai Xing looked around. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mynovelful.com. Thanks. Yes. The principal's masters nodded. They could see the situation clearly. The three saint realms were much stronger than the other two. If they chose to fight them head-on, they would be at a disadvantage. Therefore, they had to find a way to fight them. At the same time, they had to try their best to stall for time while keeping themselves alive. After all, there were still reinforcements from the temporal temple that had not arrived yet. As long as the 10-man team of Master Lin Guang and the 4 from the Quiet Moon Abyss arrived on the battlefield, they would not be afraid of the three saint realms. Only then would they be able to fight freely. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Temple Master Bai Xing looked at Jian Wushuang again. There is a big gap between the formation of the temporal temple and the three saint realms. In this battle, we can only try our best to stop the experts of the three saint realms for you. However, it is inevitable that someone will find an opening to attack you. Although you are an immortal saint, your battle strength is not weaker than an ordinary Principles Master. If the Principles Masters of the three saint realms really attack you, you have to be careful. If you can't deal with them, you have to find a way to get closer to the people around you. Do you understand? Understood. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. He also knew that it would be very difficult for the people of the temporal temple to stop all the experts of the three saint realms. If the three experts of the saint realm came to him through the gap, he would have to deal with them. Of course, he would have to deal with them himself. Temple Master Bai Xing's voice sank, and a terrifying power burst out from her body, directly suppressing the entire area. The Principles Masters of the temporal temple also erupted with powerful auras as they charged toward the experts from the three great saint realms. The two sides, with a total of 80 Principles Masters, came into direct contact in the void at the center of Sohar Island. A great battle erupted instantly. Boom. 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 Visit Riadel. Me for extra chapters. Terrifying explosions rang out in the void at the center. The space above Sohar Island began to tremble and shake as if it was about to collapse. Any one of the Principles Masters possessed a terrifying power that could destroy the heavens and earth, especially the power of their will. Once they used it, it would be even more shocking. Usually, just two Principles Masters fighting head-on, the commotion was shocking. And now, nearly 80 Principles Masters were directly clashing against each other. What kind of scene was this? The figure that was crazily shuttling through the void was as fast as a ghost. With a casual movement of his wrist, it was enough to tear the air apart. Someone used a divine weapon. With a swing of his saber, the world seemed to be split into two. Someone used his fist to smash downwards, directly piercing through the entire Sohar Island, causing the land of the island to be completely stirred up. Someone relied solely on the might of his will to sweep out in all directions, causing air currents to billow and annihilate everything. Any one of them was so strong that it was suffocating. And for a total of 80 such super experts, for a moment, the heavens and earth were collapsing, and in the instant that both sides exchanged blows, the Sohar Island below had already directly split into pieces. It was originally just an island, but in an instant, dozens of small pieces of land had been split apart, and some of the land had already sank. The countless immortal saints and a few Principles Masters watching the battle around the island were already stunned by the terrifying battle. Principles Masters, a large group of Principles Masters engaged in a chaotic battle. Doomsday battle. Many of the immortal saints who saw this battle let out howls and wails. This world-destroying battle made them feel as if doomsday had arrived. This kind of big battle was not something that the immortal saints could interfere in. Not to mention the immortal saints, even those who had already broken through to Principles Masters after coming out of the Bloodwave Palace felt a little apprehensive when they saw this big battle. They felt a little apprehensive in their hearts. Although they had already broken through to become Principles Masters, they were only at the ordinary first level of the Void Realm. And among the nearly 80 Principles Masters on the battlefield, the weakest one was at the second level of the Void Realm. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 3299. This is a true battle between the strong. Compared to this group of Principles Masters, The fierce battle between us saints is like playing house. It's too terrifying. I feel that anyone in this battle can easily kill us. It's the first time for me to see a battle between 80 principals masters. The many experts who were watching the battle around Sohar Island were both shocked and excited. It was rare to see a battle between nearly 80 principals masters in the divine beginning realm. Now that they had seen it, they were naturally excited. The few people who had already broken through to become principals masters in Bloodwave Hall were feeling very complicated at this moment. This is a true principals master. With a single move, he can destroy the world. Even though I am also a principals master now, I have only comprehended one principle and grasped a portion of the power of will. Compared to them, I am still too far away. How clenched his hands tightly, looking at the battlefield in front of him, his eyes flashed with a strange light. Among these 80 or so principals masters, the weakest one has grasped 2 portions of the power of will. Most of them have grasped 3 or even 4 portions of the power of will. Among us who have just broken through to become principals masters, even the strongest Light King is only at the top of this battle. Thanks. Master Ku shook his head, he kept exclaiming in admiration. Hehe, Heavenly Sword Marquis, aren't you very strong? An immortal saint was defeated by you, but unfortunately, any of the experts sent by the 3 saint realms to kill you are experts in the 2nd realm of the Void Realm. Any one of them is stronger than you. Even if you have the help of experts from the Temporal Temple, you will not be able to escape this disaster. This time, you will die. Let's see how arrogant you can be. Silver Wolf was also standing nearby, he secretly laughed in his heart. On the battlefield, the 2 sides were already engaged in a fierce battle. The 3 saint realms had an absolute advantage in the number of experts. They constantly wanted to break through the obstacles of the experts of the Temporal Temple so that they could kill Jian Wushuang. The experts of the Temporal Temple tried their best to stop them as long as they could protect themselves. The experts of the Temporal Temple were all good at the principles of space-time. The principles of space-time were quite powerful in terms of life preservation and entanglement. Therefore, in a short period of time, none of the experts of the 3 saint realms had come directly to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang stood in the center of the battlefield, looking at a battlefield in front of him. That battlefield was where the 2 strongest experts of the 2 camps, Temple Master Bai Xing and Star River Master, were fighting. Temple Master Bai Xing had grown to 3 meters tall. Her body was filled with monstrous power, blowing up her hair and clothes. Her eyes were suffused with a layer of white light, and a special pattern of a 4-point star vaguely appeared in them. She wore a pair of crystal gloves on her slender arms. She looked like a goddess of heaven and earth and was not to be violated. However, Temple Master Bai Xing, who looked like a goddess, was extremely ruthless and brutal in her attacks. She waved her hands one after another, either directly transforming into a mountain and striking out ferociously, or clenching her fists in anger, or transforming into a palm blade that easily tore through the void in front of her. Each of her attacks was extremely violent. She did not give her opponent a chance to catch his breath. Jian Wushuang could sense the existence of 3 principles from her attacks. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mynovelful.com. Thanks. Space-time, raging fire, and earth. The 3 principles combine perfectly. Jian Wushuang's eyes shone with a fierce light. However, in the face of Temple Master Bai Xing's violent attacks, Star River Master had completely turned into boundless darkness. There was a gentle power mixed in the boundless darkness as if it could devour everything in the world. When Palace Master Bai Xing's attack struck this boundless darkness, it was as though it had struck a ball of cotton. It was soft, and its power had been completely dissipated. Haha, Bai Xing, after not seeing you for so many years, your strength doesn't seem to have improved much. Star River Master's hearty laughter reverberated throughout the center of the battlefield. Tempage, you might not have improved much either. Palace Master Bai Xing snorted coldly. Visit Ria Me for extra chapters. Oh, is that so? Star River Master gave a strange smile. In the boundless darkness, a terrifying destructive force suddenly appeared. This destructive force was completely combined with the boundless darkness and the gentle force from before. In an instant, the boundless darkness became completely different from before. Hua lolor tilde the boundless darkness flowed out like a river. At the same time, streaks of dark air currents formed numerous dark chains that carried 3 different types of forces and swept toward Temple Master Bai Xing in an instant. Peng. 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 Tilde 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 in the blink of an eye, Temple Master Bai Xing had clashed with these dark chains more than 10 times. However, after these dozen times, Temple Master Bai Xing did not gain the slightest advantage. Galaxy, you actually broke through? Temple Master Bai Xing's expression was cold as he stared at Star River Master. 3 million years ago, I was lucky enough to break through. Star River Master smiled indifferently. And these words caused a commotion in the surrounding void space. Star River Master has actually broken through? He was already an expert at the pinnacle of the 5th level of the void space. Now that he has broken through, he has obviously fused 3 principles and stepped into the 6th level of the void space. One must know that when he was at the 5th level of the void space, he could easily face the 6th level of the void space. Now that he has broken through again, his strength will definitely be stronger than before. The Star River Master is too terrifying. Some experts secretly sighed in admiration. The Star River Master displayed the strength of the 6 void realms. He was not at a disadvantage in a head-on fight with Temple Master Bai Xing, and he even began to gain an advantage. In other battlefields, the Temporal Temple was also at a disadvantage, and some were even at a great disadvantage. Although the 3 experts of the Saint Realm had not broken through the obstacles of the experts of the Temporal Temple and were now in front of Jian Wushuang, it was obvious that this situation would not last for long. In the middle of this unprecedented battle, Jian Wushuang was the most relaxed because so far, no experts of the 3 Saint Realms had come to kill him. However, he had been watching the scene around him. Principles Master, once upon a time, the consciousness avatar of any Principles Master forced me into a corner and almost cost me my life. But today, nearly 80 Principles Masters are fighting because of me. Although I'm just a saint, I don't want to be completely protected by the experts of the Temporal Temple, Jian Wushuang murmured. He slowly looked up, and there was an unprecedented gleam in his eyes. At the same time, with a thought, a golden light directly emerged from his body. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.